Can I come in now?
Yeah, go on, Dan. Go on, mate.
Obviously, it's good to be back. It's been a while, actually. Terry's hair's looking good. Ram's even growing out his hair as well. I'm seeing. So it's good stuff, good stuff. But look, at the end of the day, what it comes down to, and obviously, I intentionally as well wanted to. I didn't really want to try and come back on a win. I still think there's so many things that need to be addressed at Chelsea. However, what I will say is that where my concerns were with Potter and what we were doing tactically and whatnot, you can see clearly that I think a large part of the problem was personnel. And once you get the personnel right in the team that you want, and then a team that fits the identity and the mold of the manager that you've brought in, then you will eventually see results. Where I parallel that to Liverpool is that they've made a mistake. They've actually got personnel wrong in what has made them successful, in what made Klopp successful in having the workaholic midfield and whatnot, and putting their money where their mouth is, and necessarily replacing guys and even strengthening when they were supposed to strengthen rather than replace. That was where the mistakes came. I'm not saying Thiago was necessarily a mistake, but it was a shift in away from what you normally do. I'm not saying Harvey Elliott was a mistake. I'm not saying it's a mistake. I'm saying it's a shift in the mode of player that you normally or had been successful in getting. When you shift away from getting players in the mode, so similarly to Potter now, where he's having to use different types of players in positions that he might not have been used to, in profiles that he might not have been used to, it's not necessarily going to work. Conte having to work with players that aren't in his mode, it's not going to work. And the example that I always point to is that you look at two managers in particular, so Alex Ferguson and Pep Guardiola, who have been fortunate in their situations and they've been able to almost manage these dynasties and have great clubs and do great things with them. One thing that they've always had is support from the owners isn't necessarily only just about buying. It's also trusting their judgment. It's also listening to them when they say what they want something. It's also trusting the fact that, cool, even if we can't get this player, don't just get me any player. I still want to get the player in the mode that I want. And that's what it comes down to. And I think where I'm still happy is that for the first time in a long time, I can say that today felt like drop points for me. And I can say that as well, for the first time in a long time, I saw an idea of what Potter football might look like at Chelsea with the right guys there. Mudryk comes on, one thing that I've been always saying, so once you get a dribbler who can attract attention, that gives other players more space and a lot more time to do. Mudryk plays a reverse pass into Carney. Carney had about 4 seconds to shoot. Like about 4 seconds before.
He just fell over.
Konate made the recovery tackle. Another situation, I think it was a nice intricate piece of play where Mudryk plays the ball into Carney, and it's almost like Carney was so surprised the ball came back to him that quickly that he almost stumbles over the ball. And that's what I'm seeing now. For me, when you put Felix back into this, when you put Madueke, who's just come into this situation, when you put Nkunku into this situation, if you get Saicedo, another technical footballer, and you put that all into the situation, you're looking at something completely different. When you get Fofana back, when you get Reece James back, when you get Chilwell back. So I'm actually happy because I can actually see the direction now. And a lot of people are questioning, and just the last thing before you come in, Terry, a lot of people are questioning Todd Bowley's methods and whatnot and how he's doing things. And I think what makes me laugh the most is, and even Chelsea fans might even question the method of just, it seems like you're just trying to buy everyone on the market, steal everyone on the market. I would just love to see the narrative if he wasn't as proactive as he's being now. I love the fact that he is hands-on and he wants to bring players to the club and he wants to put our manager and our club in a situation where we only get the best. That is what a project and a rebuild looks like, because we're not looking to do 10 years like United or Arsenal. We're looking to come back and compete for the title next year. And that's what I expect. So that's what it comes down to.
Dan, I agree. I think that the reason that Todd Bowley's methods are like confusing people is they don't how can you spend 420 million in 1 year? No one's ever done that. And they're top ending it. They're essentially saying, right, we need, I don't know, 12 players. let's not wait 4 years to buy them. Let's buy them all now, the ones we want that are available. You'll probably find next year you just don't sign as many people. And the point being, say next year you only sign one player, you then divide it over 2 years, and it's pretty much on par with everybody else. I don't understand. The reason no one understands this is because every time I watch TV and they talk about transfers, no one brings up amortization and how you spread the cost. They just go, how does net spend work with this? Well, net spend isn't real, and net spend isn't what dictates FFP. Some prick on YouTube's been saying this for years, and that's one thing I love about Todd Bowley is exposing it. The second element is just they're not going for broke. The only risk in this method is if the players they're signing and Potter together flop, because they won't be able to spend 420 million every single year, because at some point burning the candle at both ends means you run out of wick. But they've just gone for an approach where they're saying we don't want to buy 3 and then the 2 in the summer and another 1 next January and then 4 the following summer, then 1 more. And then they essentially don't want what every single fan base of struggling clubs. Arsenal went through this. I went through this of 2 more players and we'll be ready. Then we'll be ready. The irony is by the time you get around to that 4th transfer window, certain other players are then dropped off the qualities, and you've got to replace them. It becomes too much of a cycle. So
and the good thing is that if our players do perform, we're not left in a situation where they've got 2 years left on their contract and they can just run it down, or they can leave for cheap on a 1 year. If Mudryk performs as we think he will over the next 5 years, he's still got 3 more years left on his contract, and he's not going anywhere. If he does go somewhere, it will be worth the money we invested in the first place. And then when it comes back to FFP and the amount that we sell in that season, it will be worth it, effectively.
And you're going to see it more often. You're going to see these death row type contracts. I promise you. Teams are going to clock onto it. As long as if UEFA come in with something where you can only give 5 years, cool, fair enough. But like I think I saw Secret Scout tweet something that was completely incorrect, because Felix got a long deal. He got like a 7-year deal. Even Kepa got like a 6-year deal. He was trying to explain that you can only.
Yes, I heard some. I saw them tweets that I was like, no, these long deals. I mean, I remember God rest his soul, Cheick getting like a 5-6-year deal all them years ago. I remember Alan Pardew, the manager, got a 7-year deal at Newcastle a decade ago. So
Powell got like an 8-year deal with that.
It's a lie. But clubs are also doing it because players now are not renewing contracts; they're letting things run down. So the clubs are saying, "Well, we'll pay you a little bit more than everybody, or we'll pay you 90 instead of 75,000 a week." But it's an 8.5-year deal. That way, in 5 years, if Mudryk wants to leave, you've still got 3.5 years left on a deal, meaning you'll get money back for him. It's smart business. And I always get this. Net spend is real, Terry, just not how the media outlets use it. So stop disrespecting accountants. Net spend is real. It's based on your profit and loss of your business. Net spend in terms of spent 50 million on a player and sold 80 million pounds worth, therefore you're plus 30 million, is wrong. It doesn't ever work like that. So I'm right. We're both right. You're just having to go at me. Net spend in the basic format isn't right. Winter Surfer joins us here. I did want to ask you guys, I know Ram hasn't spoken much about his team yet, but what did we make today of Mihailo Mudryk, Winter Surfer?
Just going back to what you just said, Forest just gave that Brazilian kid 6.5-year deal, so they're doing it. So with all the contracts,
here says Fabregas had a 7-year deal at Arsenal.
Yeah,
probably
exactly.
True. Yes, it's the reason that people are saying this is because they're like, Chelsea haven't even found a loophole. Chelsea are just saying we're going to do
no rules.
Everybody else. Yeah, there is no rule around.
Rules. You just didn't do it first.
It's also confusing people because they've been stupid enough to believe in net spend for 20 years. It's just remember, dumb people are offended by it because they're dumb. Like, just dumb people.
On to Mudryk. I mean, I think people are laughing. I think his first touch wasn't that good, but then of that first chance he had, but then it sort of turned into a good cameo. And like David said, I do agree with him. I thought he was the best player on the pitch. He was only on for 35 minutes. What it does do is you saw confidence in the other players rise when they saw what he was doing with his touches and his passing. Yeah. And it also, when you get a player like that, it also shows who can adapt and who's not going to adapt possibly. I think we saw that in the way Gallagher, in his attacking role, I thought he's better defensively, but his attacking role, he's limited, and Mount is obviously just Mount. But I want to say though, I thought Chukwuemeka played well in his limited cameo today, and I want to see him start to get more and more minutes, because I think there's a player in there that could do something, whether he's part of the squad or starting in the future, but there is something there. But I really want to see a front three of Mudryk, João Felix and Sterling this season and see how that goes, because I think if you've got João Felix and Mudryk there, I think it takes the pressure of Sterling just to be that guy he was at City, where he just finishes off chances and scores. I really want to see that when it comes through. I want to see like Noni start as well. But yeah, I just want to say I agree with Daniel. I'm a bit disappointed. I know we didn't pepper Alisson or something like that, and I know, but I just felt we were the better side in a really rubbish game.
Yeah,
I don't know what that means, but I just coming away.
We defo had enough chances to win the. We had by far the clear cut chances to win that game.
It was a last touch or just a
shot.
Like
the final thing.
Ziyech came in that run when he was on, and he went literally the whole way around, and he just blasted it over on his favourite foot.
Yeah, Mudryk could have taken it first time. Badiashile could have scored his header like so many times when it was like.
But I just we've had to suffer with Cho and Pulisic on these wings where they have no game at all, and they just like to run. This kid is 22, but he just showed some great skill. And I hope he starts
about Mudryk. This is how you know, like people. This is one of the funniest things I've seen. You know, like everyone they try to turn everybody into a flop now without giving anybody time. I've seen this. I saw this on Twitter, and it's made me die. It's a Mudryk from an Arsenal fan, a Mudryk mistake thread.
Oh my god!
Look, number one slipped, fouled Mudryk 30. Like, and you're gonna, and this is what now one guy has done it, and I'm sure other people have done it today. If you just search like Mudryk, like mistake or mistakes thread, like search on Twitter, they're already there. Like.
By the way, he could have scored a goal of the season today. Yeah,
I mean, he looked good, but this is what like everyone's got to prepare themselves for. This is every club. Whenever you sign up, like I thought it was weird we got Anthony that isn't like
they're hating right now. Yeah,
but it's weird because like in the first half, like this is how like staying off social media changes your mind. So me and Jess were watching the first half, and we're sitting there, and we're not sitting on our phones, we're just watching the game. And I said, I've been really like against Palace, and I'm like, I'm really impressed with these link-up play. He run at the fullbacks a few times. It was probably the best half of football without scoring I've seen from Anthony. I tweeted it. What game are you watching? You're chatting nonsense. And then you look at you put his name in. It's almost like if the majority of people are saying he's rubbish, I'm going to say he's rubbish because that's where the retweets and the likes and the attention is. Does that make sense? And I'd love to take some of these trolls off, like they're not on Twitter, and ask their opinions when watching a game with them because it would be very different. And what you'll find, people that are annoyed that Mudryk's gone there, you'll probably have a few Chelsea fans who, the ones that love Mason Mount might do this as an example, is they'll just focus on the mistakes that he makes and the problems with the player rather than looking at the fact that I think if he played for 50, 60, 70 minutes today, he could have won you the game. I thought he was that good.
Yeah. I wish he had started because he would have had Milner on. Like, do you know the funny thing is about that Milner situation? Mount's ball was actually really poor. Like, it was so narrow that he had to run like at a really weird angle. If he just played the normal through ball, he would have been through. I think he would have just run at him the whole game, and he would have been.
That's what it comes down to. I mean, I'm not going to criticize Potter for the decision. I understand it. I think as well he would have been a little bit nervous with how well João Felix played from the start and then gets a red card just due to excitement and over exuberance. So I think he would have been nervous about that. So bringing him on made sense. And I feel like in another situation, maybe if he had a little bit more time, he could have literally won us the game. But I think what it comes down to again, it's like what we were saying. In that, yeah, fair enough. We haven't had the best of seasons. This has been one of the worst seasons in a long time. But there is a sense of optimism and excitement there where we are bringing in players that are clearly exciting, are clearly going to get us off our feet. And like in where Liverpool are at the end of a perceived project or cycle, we're just at the beginning of something new and we don't actually know what we're actually capable of. And just focusing on Liverpool a little bit, just so that I could give my 2 pence before I head off to work. It's just that I just think that there's a lot of maybe Klopp's at the end of the cycle. The biggest mistake you will do is sack Klopp, in my opinion. Sorry to come off a little bit like that, but I think I'm more for that. It will be the biggest mistake you could ever make. And it is about getting new ownership or whatever, but like this is coming from an unbiased view. If I'm saying from a fan view, I want you to sack Klopp because I honestly don't think you're going to do better. But if we're being honest, Klopp has shown that he's got the pedigree. He's shown what he's able to do. He's competed with one of the hardest Manchester City teams ever. And it just so happens that when he comes to the end of his cycle, when Man City are also coming into like a lull period or an adjustment period or whatever you want to talk about, Arsenal have suddenly filled that vacuum, and it's not been Liverpool to fill that vacuum. So, yeah, I just think Salahs of this world, it's just changed. Nunes, Gakpo, they're not players that he bought wingers. He bought Mane. He bought Salah. He brought in Oxlade-Chamberlain when he was still explosive. I believe Klopp was the one who brought in Oxlade, or am I wrong about that? Yeah. So he brought in explosive players. So now the whole transfer strategy is, even Luis Diaz, a good signing. That's a good signing. But now the transfer strategy just seems to have changed. Like, I don't really understand it. So yeah, man, we'll just see how it goes. But yeah.
Absolutely. Daniel, I appreciate you coming on. I'll chat to you again soon. Top man, mate. Speak again soon. All the best, bro.